Hello guys, if you're watching this, you probably have a Mac, like me. And like me, you know that Macs are awesome. However, like me, you probably also know that Macs are, sadly, basically incompatible with everything. I'm getting attacked. I'm getting mobbed. The good news is that there are always workarounds, and I'm going to show you how to be super cool and codey and do Minecraft with your friends, hosting a server on your Mac. So let's go do it. I'm going to be covering installing Java, making an unmodded server, explaining server properties, whitelisting, how to turn a single player world into a server, custom icons, and of course, Forge and Fabric servers. Now, before we get started, fair warning, we will be opening and using the terminal, which, if you have never used before, can be very intimidating, but I promise you, the terminal is a powerful tool, which is really handy to know how to use. Just follow along and you'll quickly find it's not that bad. We will also be downloading files that are not on Apple's list of recognized developers, and will give us numerous warnings about their content. Don't worry, these files are completely safe. People use them to make their own servers every day. So let's jump into it. So first thing we're going to need is Java. If you don't have Java, you can't do mods, can't do shaders, can't do servers. So we are going to Google Java Development Kit, or use the link in the description and find this page here. Now, depending on your chip, we're going to either need the ARM64 or the X64, DMG, not compressed archive, I want the DMG. So to find out, you go to About This Mac. If you have an M chip like I do, you're going to want the ARM64 DMG installer. If you have Intel, you're going to want the X64 DMG installer. So download this, click allow, and once that's downloaded, we're going to open it up, double click, continue. It's a pretty standard install process. You might need to enter your password. And we have a successful install. And I would recommend you move the JDK to the trash. Now you're going to Google the download for the Java Edition server, and this will take you to the official Minecraft page. There's also a link in the description. Download the Minecraft server 1.21.8, or, well, the latest version, obviously, whichever it happens to be at the time. Another way to download servers is to go directly into the Minecraft launcher, go to Installations, New Installation, and then pick which version of Minecraft you want for your server. And then once you've picked it, let's do a random one, 1.20.1, that's a popular one. You come over here and hit Download Server, and that will give you a server of that version. Then just make sure that you have an actual installation to go along with it, so that you can successfully play that server. So now we're going to go to our downloads and take this download and drop it on our desktop. Now from here, we're going to make a new folder, and I'll just call it server. And we're going to put our server.jar into this folder. This is where everything's going to live, all of the world data, preferences, all that kind of stuff. So now, here's the fun part. We get to open up Terminal. You can do a spotlight search for that. Terminal. I have a custom greeting, which you probably won't have, so your terminal will not look like this. You should have your username right here, and a tilde showing that you are in the main directory. If you've never used Terminal before, Terminal is basically a fancy hacker version of Finder, in that it is an extremely powerful tool for navigating and opening files. Primarily it has other uses, but that is what most people use it for, and that's what we're going to be using it for today. So we're going to navigate to our desktop and then into our server file. To do that, we're going to type cd for change directory, desktop. Press enter and you'll see that we're now in our desktop, like so. From there, cd server, changing the directory to the server. A directory is a fancy way of saying folder, in case you were wondering. From here, we are going to open the server with Java. You see, if we open it, it will do nothing. It will look like it's opening, and then there will be nothing there. So we have to open it via the terminal. We're going to type java-jar, and then server.jar. That's the name of this file here. Press return, and it will start opening, but it will fail because it says you need to agree to the EULA in order to run the server. If we go over here, you will see that our brand new EULA.txt has appeared. By changing the setting below to true, you are indicating your agreement to the EULA. So pop this in a browser and read it. So basically, read and agree to the EULA, and then if you don't agree, I'm sorry, but that's too bad. So once you've read the EULA, we're going to replace false with true, exactly like this, no space, exactly like that. Next, we are going to go back to our terminal and run the exact same line again to open the server again. Quick tip, if you press up arrow, you can cycle through, up and down, you can cycle through your command history. So just press up arrow once and press return. And voila, we have a Minecraft server. This is dope. Okay, so it looks like a white box. What do we do? So what we do? So open up your Minecraft launcher and launch Minecraft. Once we are in Minecraft, we're going to go to multiplayer. It will say scanning for games on your local network. We are going to hit add server. We can call it whatever we want. I'm going to call it local server because I'm creative like that. Now to get on, we need the server address. If you type in local host, exactly like this, all lowercase, one word, automatically put you in any server running on this device, running locally. So we hit done, and we have a local server. Yay! And it looks like it's working. So we join, and we have a world. Look at that. We are pros. We are winners, and we did this. After opening the server with terminal for the first time, you may find that you are able to open it simply by double-clicking on it, and that it will open all by itself. I'm told this is not the case for all people, so I will be using the terminal to open all servers for the rest of the video. Now, in order to get our friends on, we have to do a thing called port forwarding, which is fun. I promise. I'm lying. I won't be covering port forwarding in this tutorial because the process differs for almost every single router in existence, but I will tell you the things you need to know going in. First of all is your computer's IP address. You can find this easily by doing a spotlight search. Type in IPv4 and go to your system settings. Here you will see your computer's IP address, which distinguishes your computer on your network. You will also need to know the IP address for your network. So to find that, type what is my IP address into a browser and go to a site like whatismyipaddress.com, and you'll see right here I have it whited out because this is personal information, and using it you can find where somebody lives right down to their latitude and longitude. So do not give this to anyone unless you trust them with your life, and also that you would invite to your house. More importantly, that you also need to know the port address of Minecraft, which is 25565. You will put that into the import and outport fields when port forwarding on your router, and you want to make sure that both TCP and UDP support is enabled if available on your router. When your friends want to join your server, they're going to come over here, add server, and type in your IP address, call whatever they want, and then when your server is running, they should be able to join it. So this is great and all, but what if you don't want survival, or you want hardcore? Or you want to take a world that you've been working on single player until now and make it a server? In that case, stay tuned. So the first thing you want to know about is making yourself OP. So type .op and then your username. Once you do that, you will be an operator. You can do this to any of your friends as well. So now that we are an operator, we can change game mode to survival or creative or op other players. You just write their name in. You can now do that from in the game. To de-op somebody or to make them no longer an operator, simply write de-op and then the name of the player. And you can see that here. And I can no longer op people. As an operator, I can set the difficulty, for example, and set it to peaceful, and we will remove all of the hostile mobs. However, if you close the server and run it again, if you rejoin the server, grab a creeper egg, you'll see that hostile mobs can still exist, which means the difficulty is not peaceful anymore. That was only temporary. So to permanently set the difficulty of a server or change the default player game mode, stop the server, find the server folder, and open this document, server.properties. Once you have your server.properties open, you will see a whole host of properties. The ones you need to pay attention to for now are game mode and difficulty. You can set these to your liking, making sure to spell everything correctly. I recommend you look through many of the others as you might like to change them. For example, enabling the nether, generating structures, enabling command blocks, max players, etc. However, if you do not know exactly what something means, do not touch it. It will save you hours of headache. Trust me, I know this from experience. Other good ones to know are the level seed, which you can enter if you wanted something specific. Otherwise, it will randomly generate. PvP, which, in case you didn't know, stands for player vs player and is what allows players to hurt each other. And MOTD, which stands for Message of the Day. This is the gray text that will appear under the name of your server in the multiplayer server list. This is useful to help distinguish which server is actively running if you ever have more than one on your computer. One which looks harmless and inviting but is a big no-no unless you know exactly what you're doing is the level name. This corresponds to the folder inside of your server which holds all of the data. Currently it's called world, but if you change that, it will not recognize the current folder named world and will regenerate all of the world files. I recommend you keep this as world for now. For those of you who intend to run your service for long amounts of time, I recommend you turn on the player idle timeout, which simply means that if a player idles for this many minutes, they will be kicked off the server. This is good for them so they don't get killed by hostile mobs while they're not playing, and also means that it will be less stress on your system so that you won't have inactive players taking up bandwidth when they aren't actually playing. It's also good to keep in mind that many of these, if you change them, will regenerate the world files, so these should be done right when you're setting up the server and not be touched unless you know what you're doing afterwards. Things like the seed, obviously, and generating structures, I think allowing the nether as well. These will all alter the fundamental generation of the landscape and will cause it to be regenerated when you open the server next. The last setting in here you should know about is whitelisting. Whitelisting is basically making a list of players that are allowed on your server, meaning that no other players, unless specifically specified, can get onto your server. Unless you have a very good reason not to do this, I recommend that you do. So search for white and set enforce whitelist to true and whitelist to true. Once you've changed anything here, make sure to save before you close it. To add a player to the whitelist, simply write whitelist add and then the name of the player you want to add. And as you can see, it says added TheWonderfulMoo to the whitelist. Now, let's say, for example, that we have a single player world with our beautiful hard work, our amazing modern art, and we don't want to lose this, right? Because it's so valuable. But more importantly, we want to be able to show our friends. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make a duplicate of this world, a clone, and we're going to replace the world data of our server with this world data. So to do that, go to your Minecraft launcher, go to your installations here, and then open installations folder. So here we'll have my example world. You can press Command D to duplicate it. And now we're going to take that and we're going to drop it into our server folder on our desktop. Now we have this weird folder, which doesn't mean anything to this. So we're going to delete the world and rename this to world, basically tricking it into using this as the new data. Let's start our server again and see if it worked. And look at that. You'll notice the mobs are gone because I set the game mode to peaceful in the server preferences. Now we can set our game mode to creative, or set the difficulty to normal. We'll start getting our beautiful slimes back. Great. How cool is that? Now keep in mind, when you replace the world data, make sure that the server.properties reflect certain aspects of the single player world that you made, such as generate structures. If you had it enabled in the game rules when you created the single player world, make sure it's also enabled in the server.properties. Both of those are on by default, so you shouldn't have to worry. But if you did turn it off for your single player world, if you start the server with the properties set to generate structures equal to true, you may regenerate the world folder and end up with another randomly generated world. Now, since we're cool dudes, we want something more interesting than this very fascinating picture of the sky. We want our own custom icon. To do that, go to your server folder. Inside world, you'll find a file called icon. It's the same image. We're going to replace this. First, you need to get yourself a PNG image that is 64 by 64 pixels in dimensions. I've got one here, so I'm going to drag it into my world folder, and I will delete the file named icon and rename this to simply icon.png. Now let's stop the server and run it again. Now you'll see in our server list no longer that boring picture of the sky, but our own custom symbol. Alright, so you've made a custom server fine-tuned to your liking, but wait, you want more. You want mods. I'll show you how to make and run both a Forge server and a Fabric server on Mac. Okay. First, I'm going to be going over how to install a Forge server. So, search Minecraft download, and you'll find yourself on this page, files.minecraftforge.net. And if you go to the latest version of Minecraft, we'll have this download latest box. We're going to download the installer. It's going to take us to this page. Do not touch anything. In 5 seconds, you will get a skip option, which we will do, and it will download onto our computer. If we try to open it, we will get this warning telling us that the developer could not be identified. Do not worry, if you downloaded this from minecraftforge.net, it is perfectly safe. Just hit the question mark, hit done. Open privacy and security settings for me. Scroll down to security, and where it's talking about the thing we just downloaded, hit open anyway. Open anyway. You might need to use Touch ID or enter your password, and then and only then it will open. So now we're going to make a new folder on our desktop. I'll call this Forge server. Now we're going to select install server and navigate to our desktop, and then Forge server. Select it and press choose, then press OK. This could take a while to finish processing. Okay, once that is done installing, you should see these files. You're going to click this, press return to rename, and rename it to server for ease of use. Now we open up our terminal again. So I'm going to navigate to the directory, cd for change directory, desktop, and then forge server, like so. And then we're going to use the same start command as before. Now it'll once again tell us that we need to agree to the EULA, just like last time. Open it up, change false to true, and run it again. To keep this video from getting too long, I'm going to assume you know how to install Forge, and I'm going to launch a version of that here. Opening with CurseForge, hit play, so click multiplayer, proceed. You'll probably have to add a server if you're doing it with Forge. I already did. It's the same server address, localhost, all one word. And okay, so here we have the problem of mismatched mods. It's fun to say, mismatched mods, mismatch. So basically, we need to make sure that the mods we have on our Forge installation, in my case, Biomes Aplenty and Co., are the same mods we have on our server. I haven't added any mods yet, which is why it's giving us that message. So I'm going to open the folder, go to mods, you can see our mods. I'm going to duplicate this, put it on the desktop, and then take these mods, select them, go to our Forge server, and drop them in our mods folder. Now I'm going to stop this, run it again. I'm going to join, and voila, it should work. Of course, we still need to op ourselves, and since I generated this before I added Biomes Aplenty, we won't get any Biomes Aplenty, so I'll just really quick do that. Okay, I regenerated the world and opt myself. Now instantly we see a Biomes Aplenty biome with giant flowers, and as you can see, it is working right as rain. And luckily it is really not that much different from installing a normal server. As you can see, it's taking a little longer to load because of the mods. That's expected. The one thing to keep in mind is to make sure that anyone who intends to join your server has all of the exact same mods as you. Using something like CurseForge really simplifies that process, and I recommend doing that. But yeah, you can have lots of fun exploring the craziest mods that people have out there. And lastly, but not least, we are going to make a Fabric server. So let's make a new folder, call it Fabric Server. Look up Fabric Server download, or use the link in the description and go to Fabric Server. Yep, here it is, executable server.jar. Download this, allow, and so we are going to drag this onto the desktop and drop it straight in Fabric Server, rename it to server. Same deal. I'm going to open the terminal, this time navigate to our Fabric server and open it. Java space -jar space server.jar. You see we'll download files, and then once again we need to agree to the EULA. Open it up, delete false, true, TRUE, all smalls, one word, just like that. Back to the terminal and open it once more. Once you have the server up and running, you need an installation of Fabric that is the same version of Minecraft. I've got one with, once again, Biomes Aplenty. We are going to copy the mods from this to our server so that it works on the server. So we're going to duplicate the mods folder with Command D and put it on our desktop. Here we're going to grab these mods, put it on the Fabric server to mods, and just drop it in. Now we run the server one more time. Okay, then launch Minecraft. Once you're in, go to multiplayer. Once again, add server. Type localhost into the server address, all small as one word, and join it. And Biomes Plenty is working, as we can see here. So there you go. That's how you can play modded Minecraft with your pals on a server. Once again, you just have to make sure that you are both using the exact same installation of Minecraft with the exact same mods, the exact same versions of all the same mods, in order for everything to work together. But once you've got it, although it's tedious, it is a lot of fun. It's very much worth it in my opinion. So go be the cool kid on the block. Run your servers on Mac. Thank you for watching, everybody, and don't forget to subscribe.